I think he's gonna get flooding.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get flooding down here. Because,
Well, we already got flooding.
Yeah.
Yes, Miami's already flooded. Yes.
Yeah, because there's a king tide tonight.
Oof.
So.
A king tide?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Really?
Yes.
You haven't?
King tide? No.
You've never heard of king tide.
That's inland life, man.
You've never heard of a king tide?
Never, ever. You have?
Yeah.
It's part
it comes
of Miami.
up like
It's part of
4
Miami
times
life,
a year
man.
coming down here.
Stugotz, I don't know if
Billy Corbin's always talking about it.
King of tides, huh?
I did not know. I don't know how often you guys have
Prince of
noticed
Tides.
this, but during King Tide, you drive around here on Miami Beach where they are quickly trying to build the walls that will protect us against this, and you're like, oh my God. All of that water is an inch from coming over. It's 1 inch from coming over everything.
If you drive, so I drive every day by the Fontainebleau Hotel, and there's the Intercoastal right there. There's a bunch of boats right there, and every day I look at it and go, "That's just going to spill over into the street with like it could sprinkle rain and it'll spill over into the street. How is it not already? It's been like this for 5 days, and then we've got an actual tropical storm coming. It's sort of unfathomable."
Isn't there also like a blood moon eclipse or something going
That
on
too.
too?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
A blood moon?
Did I miss it already?
I think that was last night. Yes, we are in the middle of
Crazy.
during as votes come in for democracy and the apocalypse. Like I'm expecting from that 1 inch of king tide water, zombies are going to emerge on Friday.
Can I just, and I know this isn't going to be a popular thing, can they stop telling me about eclipses that we're only going to see once every 37,000 years? Because it feels like every 3 years there's one of those going on. Like there's a blood moon eclipse, and then there's like a blood saliva eclipse, and then there's like a this eclipse and a that eclipse. And it's like enough with how many times. It seems like every other year I'm going to see an eclipse of some sort. And like I, as an untrained professional, every eclipse is the same to me, right? And some I can look at and some I can't. But like also, stop telling me how rare they are because I don't know the difference.
Put it on the poll. Get over yourself, eclipses.
Yeah.
Yes or no at LeBatard Show.
But Billy's right, Dan. There's always going to be another. I mean, you know.
But I mean, and ultimately, every eclipse is just, wow, the moon looks big tonight. It reflects in a lovely manner off the ocean.
I'm just curious, though, Billy, less so an indictment than Stugotz. Stugotz, just as a curiosity, when do you ever gaze upon anything in earth or science and say, wow, I'm filled with wonder? Like, are
Dad
you,
and Company shows.
but are you capable of doing that with anything the earth produces?
No.
Like, discovery is not something
Whatever. I mean,
We had a solar eclipse that Donald Trump stared right into.
Oh, enough.
That was fun.
yeah.
Lava. That's cool. You like lava, Stugotz?
Yeah, I guess.
Really?
I
Sure.
don't think you're going to be able to get, and I don't think that Stugotz is going to stop while hiking and look at a majestic mountain. I think
have me hiking.
I think he's going to be checking his phone to see if the Jets made a transaction. I think this is a problem. I'm guessing that Abby has trouble with him in this realm all the time. Just trying to lure him back from really Inferno again. You're trying to decide whether or not your fantasy running back should be Robinson.
Listen, Inferno makes me money. Staring at the stars makes me nothing. It makes me confused. I mean, they're beautiful. They're nice to look at. I don't wonder how they got there.
I don't believe that you believe what you just said. They're beautiful. They're nice to look at. I think you're just both sidesing stars. I don't think you care about these things at all.
You know the problem with stars, and like this is a larger issue. I can't fully appreciate stars because I can't see them on most nights. You know what I mean? So like I kind of forget that they exist. I look up, I just see clouds or I just see darkness. Like there's too much light. It's too bright around where I am. There's too much pollution. I can't fully appreciate stars unless I go into the Everglades. And like, I'm not going into the Everglades at night. Do you think I'm crazy?
Find somewhere serene to go and watch the stars. There actually, I believe, is an app that helps you with enjoying the stars. It's a cool one. Yeah. So you aim your phone up at the sky, and it'll map out what the stars are that you're looking at. It's actually it's
Night Sky, great app.
Is that what it's called? I've
interactive.
I've only used it once. It's fantastic.
You can point it at the ground. You'll know what's underneath you and everything.
What's it called?
I don't think that's how it works.
No, it is. Yeah, you point it at the ground. It'll show you what stars are on the other side of the world, what they're looking at in the sky. Yeah, they show you constellations and galaxies and all that stuff.
All that stuff that Stugotz doesn't have any interest in, but says it's beautiful.
I'm talking about stars in the most general terms.
You only care about stars if you can sign
bright.
Scottie Pippen at 50 years old to be a member of the Heat.
He should have done that. I mean,
Mike sure is going to do stat of the day with us here in a second, but we've got a couple of housekeeping items that we have to get to, including the aforementioned promised talk of how the hell we explain Hispanic voting in Florida. But before we do that, Jessica's got a top 5 list of top 5 people she has interacted with on Twitter. Forgive me if it's a wordy list. Do I have this right? Like just most exciting people that were in your mentions, and then Fetterman embarrassed you, right? Fetterman, you like backed away from him.
I don't want to pick a fight with John Fetterman. He's a scary man, but I think the better title would be like top 5 most random celebrity interactions on Twitter that I've had. I actually have an OLI, which was on Instagram, which was the New York Stock Exchange replying to my story and telling me that my grandma looked great.
the exchange of that, huh?
A strong start.
Crazy.
The New York Stock Exchange
Amazing.
addressing you.
Number 5, which I've mentioned on the show a few times, Rick Sutcliffe retweeting my grandfather's obituary after he died. Number 4 was very early on in my tweeting days. This was, I tweeted, I'm a huge fan of Chopped, and Ted Allen is the host of Chopped. I love Ted Allen, and I tweeted a screen cap of him saying that one of the chefs was weird. It was just a screen cap of Ted Allen, and it said, caption, "You are weird." And I tweeted it and I said, my goal in life is to have Ted Allen say this to me. And he replied to me and said, "You know you're weird." And then like, "Love ya," or something like that. And that one like truly tickled me, made my day.
Number 3,
Sean Astin quote tweeted a picture that I took with him at the Sports Illustrated's office, quoting, I tweeted it and put a quote from Rudy and then a quote from Lord of the Rings, potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew, and then he quoted it with a Goonies quote, and he followed me back.
Wow, classic Rudy. Yeah.
Roy,
Love
Billy,
Sean
why were you guys laughing at Jessica? Was it her number 4 or number 3?
No, Tony exclaimed in the corner, this list is a bit look at me, Louie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it over there?
I mean, Dan called
I
for
did.
it.
Dan did ask for it,
But
yeah.
it's unfair. I did ask for it, but you were begging me to ask for
I was
it, like
begging you.
secretly.
Yeah, you've been waiting for this your entire
I
life.
texted Dan
Yes.
and I said, please ask me about Twitter and all my celebrity interactions on Twitter.
We're going to speak to Mike Schur in a couple of minutes. I'd like to get his interactions on Twitter,
Yeah,
his top 5
celebrities. Yeah.
He's not on my
It's a bit
top 5,
different,
by
I
the
guess.
way.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he didn't make it.
Insulting.
Number 2.
Number 2, John Fetterman scolding me for talking about Mason Rudolph getting hit in the head with a helmet at the Steelers game.
Ready?
And number 1.
Number 1, I tweeted in 2018, "I love that NBC has been reading everyone's Collinsworth slide tweets because it means they've also been reading all the tweets about how much we hate the new C** under asterisk song." And then it was quote tweeted by C** under asterisk, and she said, "Hey, I know my music isn't for everyone, but I love what I do, and I love being a part of SNF on NBC. I am one lucky lady. I also love women who build other women up." Just saying.
Oh, no. No, that was unpleasant. Unnecessary.
Oh, man.
Uncomfortable.
And then she tweeted, "Today, let's be positive. Let's be nice to each other. Let's do something nice for someone else. Smile at a stranger. It's the start of a new week. Today is precious. Don't waste it. Sending love and cheer to you all. Hashtag love wins."
Love wins.
She invited a mob of people to attack Jessica.
She did no such thing.
for daring
didn't
to
know what was gonna
criticize
happen
the
yesterday.
Sunday Night Football song.
She did invite. It was a swarm of people who that was unpleasant.
I was written about in like every single internet source, like BuzzFeed did like a listicle about it. It was like top 10 times Carrie Underwood clapped back at a Sports Illustrated producer over the Sunday Night Football song.
Wow.
I swear to God, like, look it up. It was all over the internet, and I was just sitting at my like little cubicle at work, and I was like, I don't know what to do.
Chris Cody would tell you this is good for you.
It was great for me. I got so many Twitter followers after this.
Mike Schur is here. Stat of the day is around the corner. But we've been talking a little bit about last night in America, and you have become a bit of a political correspondent for us. So, you how did you careen into the night?
First of all, that top 5 list was a little look at me, Louie. That entire thing.
I asked
that was
her.
absurd.
It's
The look at me, Louie sound should be replaced by Jessica saying, "I hung out with Sean Astin at the Sports Illustrated offices."
He came in to do an interview with People, and I was like, oh my God, Rudy and Samwise Gamgee are here. And so I wore a Notre Dame shirt and took a picture with him, which there used to be a ton of celebrities that came through that office because of People. Mike, oh my God, she's talking about herself. Oh,
Where
you
is
do
the
this
sound?
every day,
Where is the
Mike.
sound?
You
if
do this
I
every
said,
day.
if I literally said any of this at any moment,
The difference is
you
you're
guys would've hit me
famous.
3
You're
times.
literally famous. I'm nobody.
Since
I'm
when
a
does that,
producer
I'm not
on
famous,
a radio
and
show.
since when does that matter when it comes to the look at me Louie sound? It doesn't matter. It's anybody who says anything look at me Louie gets hit.
Even if you're asked, though, I mean, Dan did ask for the list. I mean,
yeah, she seemed really reluctant to.
The only people that I ever interacted with and asked for a picture with when they came through the Sports Illustrated / People magazine office were Sean Astin and the guy who played Robert on Downton Abbey. And I walked up to him and I was like, oh my God, I watched every season of Downton Abbey in like 3 weeks. I love it. And he was like super British and he was like, good girl. And it was the best day of my life.
Oh,
nice.
But we need a look at me, Louise, right? We need
I mean, do we?
All right, Mike Schur's top 5 people he's tweeted at.
No chance.
Come on, Mike.
No chance. No. Look, the last time you guys asked me any question about anyone I've ever interacted with, you know what happened? The look at me Louie sound played like 4 times in 30
play
seconds.
scared.
I'm not falling.
You can't
I'm
play
not falling
scared.
into the same trap.
He was
Absolutely
rattled
not.
yesterday. Now he's playing scared.
If I promise no sounder, can you give us the top 5 people you've ever had dinner with?
Your promises.
I promise.
Yeah,
look at this guy over here.
I swear.
Friendly compromise. No sound will play. Top 5 people you've split a bill with that are celebrities.
I'm not doing. No.
Why do we? The Look at Me Louie sounder isn't even the worst sounder you can get on the show. It's like probably top 3, honestly. Is it that bad to
What
talk
do you
about yourself?
What do you think is the worst one?
Loser game show sound?
Yeah.
Oh, it stings.
Suey.
Yeah.
Also,
It
see you,
hurts.
Gary.
Yeah.
Never want to get that.
Yeah, but I love that.
See you, Gary.
Yeah, it's great.
How about top 5 list of the worst sounds that play on the show?
Do you want to do the stat of the day, or do you want to give us your political musings from last night?
I don't. I'm happy to give you my political musings. I was pleasantly surprised. I don't have any kind of, I don't know what you would call it, coherent analysis, except that I think candidates matter more than maybe people thought they did, including me. Like the some of the true loons were unceremoniously voted down by people, which is giving me an enormous boost of confidence that the country isn't about to completely fall apart. A lot of the election denying secretaries of state in battleground states lost. That's an enormous deal because those like Brad Raffensperger in Georgia in 2020, those are the people who actually have to do the work of certifying elections. And there are still a couple that are yet to be determined in Nevada and Arizona and places like that. But generally the red wave did not emerge, certainly not the red tidal wave that some people were predicting as late as Tuesday morning. And a lot of the people who just fundamentally don't appear to want to participate in an actual representative democracy were booted. And that is an enormous, Mike was taunting me yesterday with the idea of a red wave, and it is an enormous relief that we seem to have avoided that.
So you are encouraged. You are hopeful. You are not. You are not despondent about Georgia somehow running off when you don't have, candidates of equal merit.
I'm not. I mean, look, Brad Raffensperger was reelected. That guy was by name called to task by Trump at the worst point of Trump's presidency, which is the time between when he lost the actual election and January 6th. Brad Raffensperger was the focal point of the assault on the Georgia election system. He's the guy who was on the other end of the line when Trump said, I need to find 11,000 votes. So the idea that Georgia citizens actually not only, got rid of him, but reelected him is an enormous sign that things aren't as bad as maybe we thought they were. Look, Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock are probably going to a runoff. That's bananas. This, as Jamel said yesterday on your show, this is a pastor at Martin Luther King Jr.'s former church against a guy who doesn't know where he is or what is happening at any given moment of his day. In any arena of his life, he is confused. He today compared himself in an interview to Ricky Bobby from McKay's movie.
That was very patronizing. Oh, that little McKay flick, Talladega Nights.
I momentarily couldn't remember it. I apologize to my good friend Adam McKay, who I've split a bill with.
Hit the button.
Hit it.
You promised him you wouldn't do that.
You promised me you wouldn't do it. That was a trap, and you fell into it.
You believe me.
But
Herschel would win a runoff, wouldn't he? I mean, Herschel.
He should win.
Now
any runoff.
that should get loser game show sound.
He should win any.
I got the highest praise.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Would Herschel win all of the runoffs? Imagine him and McConnell just sprinting against each other. Put him against every politician.
The point is, that's probably going to a runoff. That might end up like it did in 2020, determining control of the Senate. But I don't think that Republicans want to have to talk about Herschel Walker for 2 more months when there's no other races to talk about. Like, they've kind of slid on him because it was the midterms. All this stuff was going on. If the nation's attention is now focused on Herschel Walker and the kinds of things he says and does for like 6 or 8 weeks, I don't think that's good for Republicans, because he is a complete ding-dong who doesn't know his ass from his elbow, and I think that's going to be really embarrassing. So all of this stuff that was potentially truly terrible, I think, for the future of the country, much of it did not materialize.
But I guess Dan's argument would probably be that, well, why does Herschel Walker even get 49% of the vote in the first place?
It's also where I live. It's also what I see happening where I live. And I've seen Miami and Florida be 20 years ahead of the entire political curve in this country from 2000, when we what happens here spreads, and I'm scared of the dude who wins easily in our state. I'm scared of him.
In this cycle, though, it appeared as though it's not that Miami was ahead, or Florida was ahead, is that it's separate, is its own separate thing. It had no connection to anything that happened anywhere else in the country last night. There wasn't a similar DeSantis-like effect in other places. There wasn't a similar Rubio-like effect in other. The only kind of sliver of a comparison point is the Rio Grande Valley districts that are right on the border that some people are surprised went Republican. But there aren't really that many comparison points to what happened in Florida and what happened in other places.
And a lot of South Texas, which was predicted to the Republicans thought they could sweep South Texas, and they didn't. And a lot of those districts actually voted Democratic. I think Whitty's right. I mean, this is a completely uneducated opinion here. But I think it's more and more seems like Florida is its own nation and has its own voting patterns and has its own collection of people of different ethnic backgrounds and viewpoints and whatever you want to call it, it's just its own thing. I mean, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it really does feel like Florida is one set of voting results and the rest of the country has other trends that you could maybe follow or track or something.
Let's go ahead and play Stat of the Day here and get to the numbers portion of the proceedings.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
The stat of the day is presented by ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
I have 2 election-related stats of the day for you. First is Aubrey Huff Career doubles, 360. Total votes in the Solana Beach School District Governing Board Member Trustee Area 1 in San Diego, 291.
Democracy wins.
Unfortunately, there were about 1,800 votes cast for Rob
What?
Ruff, who he did not win.
He lost like 80-20 in that election?
He lost 82. The up-to-date totals are 82.5 to 17.5. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But here's the real stat of the day. This was sent to me, alerted to me by Chris Whittingham, but there's been more developing information since. Chuck Grassley of Iowa won yet another term in the United States Senate. Chuck Grassley was born on September 17th, 1933, before the invention of the chocolate chip cookie. He is so old. Here's how old. This is according to @Emma Tolkien on Twitter. Chuck Grassley is 3 years younger than the invention of Scotch tape and sliced bread. He is the same age as FM radio. He is 2 years older than canned beer, nylon, and radar. 4 years older than the jet engine and photocopier. 5 years older than ballpoint pens, and 6 years older than helicopters. And really incredibly, and this is the most incredible stat of all, he is not the oldest member of the United States Senate, because California Senator Dianne Feinstein was born about 3 months before him.
What?
It is crazy. Go over that list again, please. You said something in the middle that chopped out, and I don't know what was the most impressive thing on that list. I can't believe the chocolate chip cookie is that age.
3 years younger, Chuck Grassley, 3 years younger than Scotch tape and sliced bread. The same age as FM radio, 2 years older than canned beer, nylon, and radar. 4 years older than the jet engine and photocopier, 5 years older than ballpoint pens, and 6 years older than helicopters.
We're like Chuck Astley.
Hey.
Canned beer.
What? Wait a minute. Hey.
Canned beer is so good, Mike, because I am now imagining beer, you can only get it in a saloon in the Wild West because you can't get it in cans. How else are you going to get it?
You get it in like a wine bottle that has a cork in it or something to keep the beer from fermenting longer. He's an old person. He's almost 90, and he won easily.
Term limits, probably?
Yeah, term limits, age limits, something, man.
I think if he finishes his term at age 95, he will have served 48 years in the U.S. Senate.
There was a report on Twitter a while ago, a couple of years ago, and I think an article was written about it somewhere that there was a pharmacist in Washington, D.C. who anonymously told people that he routinely fills Alzheimer's prescriptions for members of the United States Congress. And then everybody started speculating on who that was. That's not good.
Thank you, Mike. We will talk to you again tomorrow and forever.
Have your top 5 ready tomorrow. I don't like what you're doing with that button.
I'm letting the power get to my head.
Yes.
Jess said before the Astley line, have the Hakeem Nicks button ready to go, and you fired off the wrong one just out of spite.
Yes, out of spite.
How dare you?
You say the joke, and then the person in charge of the sound determines whether or not it's Knicks worthy or it's loser game show sound worthy.
But did you decide that, or did you decide to do the opposite because you already had decided you weren't going to?
I was on the fence, and the public pressure.
Let's say
swung me towards the loser game show sound.
I'm voting you out of office. This is an abuse of power.
Wow.
Let's say
I didn't realize this was up for referendum.
Woody, had Jess said nothing before she delivered the line, what would you have given her?
Hold on, let's set up the joke again. So there's a senator in Iowa. He's very old. His name is Chuck Grassley. And I said more like Chuck Astley.
I mean,
come on. It's good stuff. Jesus.
Jeez.
I think I side with Woody.
What?
You don't like Chuck Astley?
I just don't
have to
understand what the old and the ass has to do with anything.
I have to be honest. She put it in my headset, and I threw it right back to her.
He threw it back.
That's a classic Stugotz move. Every once in a while, we feed you jokes, and you're like, I don't want that one.
Well,
you take that one.
Okay,
because I know I'm going to get that.
Well, let's break down the instances in which that happens. If he doesn't think it's funny, He doesn't understand the reference, so
That's
he's a
the
little
most common one.
confused
That's
and
the most
doesn't know
common
if he
one.
should do
Or I
it.
can't pronounce it. I mean, that's always a problem.
Or he's worried about the fallout for making the joke because it's a little bit close to the line because I'll feed him those sometimes. Yeah.
That's usually the case.
Yeah.
The fallout.
You don't think Astley is funny? I don't know what funny is.
I thought it was
Agreed.
48 years, the Iowa senator.
Yes.
I thought your joke about Iowa senator, what is he, the Iowa football coach? That was a funny one.
Well,
you know what?
also didn't say that one.
I did. I didn't know the window
I
closed.
was giving you
Yeah.
heat, Stugotz.
You were,
This
well,
whole
I don't-
segment. Come on.
according to Whitty, it was the exact opposite. I mean,
Yeah, according to Whitty, it was just a hot part.
Oh, wow.
Chuck Astley's ass.
What's up, Danny boy?
It's good to see you again, sir.
What's up, my man? How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Down in Florida, huh?
Miami, yes, sir.
Is Poppy all right?
Poppy's all right. He's hanging in there. He's approaching 80, but thank you for asking. That's nice of you. I think we got you in trouble with Jamarcus Russell the last time we were on.
It doesn't. You know who? It doesn't matter. I definitely ain't getting in trouble with anyone. I'm a grown man, but I love what you guys do and represent. And it's interesting because I have a podcast with my son now, and it's called Me and Halo, and he just turned 7, but it's reminiscent of the relationship you obviously have, with your father and stuff. So I think that's cool.
That's very kind of you to say, sir. Thank you for being inspired in some way by what it is that me and Dad did. It was greatest blessing in my professional career to be able to grow old a little bit with him on television.
That's dope. That's dope, man.
What is it that you're doing with Amazon? How did you get involved with this live stream concert that they're going to be doing after games? They're going to be doing it every week?
Every Thursday night after Thursday Night Football, Amazon and Amazon Prime Video and the NFL basically teamed up to bring fans a new experience after the game and offering performances from, the biggest superstars who have projects either dropping or on the way, a legit 45 to an hour show. I come in because obviously I'm legendary, iconic, handsome, and smart, and some other adjectives to really describe myself. But I'm sure whoever thought of it got a raise. I'm sure whoever thought of it has a bigger office. It's almost a no-brainer. I'm one of the people that is, super comfortable in my skin. I know what I know. And I have a great relationship with Amazon because they've always kind of brought something to the table during my album cycles. And so when they approached me with this idea, I thought it would be something dope to ultimately add to my brand and legacy.
Is it true that you, because you threw smart in there, and there are some things that are true about your education, some that aren't? You've debunked the master's degree thing, but you did graduate second in your class at some point, did you not?
So I graduated high school and I graduated in college. I have a psychology degree. When I graduated in high school, I didn't make a C until I got to college, but I think my grade point average in high school was maybe a 3.7 or something like that. But I can't even tell you now if I was second, third, or fourth because it's been decades ago for me, over a decade for me. But I can tell you that I enjoy being on top of my game as far as being someone that is always yearning to find or to have that intellectual stimulation. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy good conversations. I enjoy, I read. I do little things to stay on top of my game. So,
are there a lot of stories that you look at in rap that are like yours? Because it's a pretty unusual story, is it not? The reinvention later in life?
I think I see people trying to do it. For me, it was, my story is very, very rare. It was this story about, this kid that deep down inside knows he has what it takes, but trying to connect the dots on the outside world was also a difficult thing with me. And I didn't know whether it was about aligning with the right person or being in the right rooms or or whatever. And the name change catapulted a lot of things for me, obviously, going from a name like Titty Boy, which was more of a household name that meant spoiled brat, mama's boy, nothing derogatory, but just taking that name and the 2 Chainz, moniker coming, and just building meaning around that. One chain being who I am, and the other chain who I aspire to be, and just building layers on top of layers and just growing, and obviously, having the confidence and the knowledge in the music to put out hit records and dope collaborations. And, it's very rare. We don't see it a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I use a lot of things that I learned outside of music and implement it in my music. And a lot of brands, huge brands, they rebrand every 3 to 5 years, whether they alter their logo or, they doing a slogan or something like that. So I implement a lot of that with my music and my style.
Who in your life calls you Tawheed?
Maybe my auntie in Milwaukee, maybe. And I have family in Milwaukee. I think my cousin, I think my cousin and my aunt probably are the only 2 people in the world that call me Tawheed that I can think of.
Everybody else, that it's just Chainz now, right?
My mom calls me Tit. My wife actually calls me Tit. My friends call me Tit or Tony. That's like one of my aliases, Tony from the streets. A lot of people call me Tony, but no one really calls me Tawheed. It doesn't bother me if you do. Tawheed ultimately means unity with God, one with Allah. So I'm not tripping.
What are the details you can give us on your chain collection? What are the relevant details?
I have a lot of chains. Is that
No, I know that. I want more details. That part I assumed that I'm familiar with. I
have a lot.
Okay. that's the most I'm getting in terms of details.
No, I mean, what you want to like appraisal? I'm not. I have a lot. I was just shooting my show Most Expensive is the last maybe month or so, and I started bringing everything out of the safety deposit box, and it's heavy to carry these bags, through the airport and stuff like that.
You love your basketball. You played in college. If you were to form an all-star team, 5 starters of rappers all time for a basketball team, who is on it?
I don't want to do that one. That one's going to be the clickbait to get our interview going.
I need clickbait. I need your help. What do you mean? The 2 times you've been on with us, you've given me clickbait. One time, I don't know if you remember one of the times, because you got, like I said, Jamarcus Russell objects on the pivot to the details of you saying he partied with you the night before a game and had a bag of lean. He says it wasn't before a game. He says some of the details are true, but the other one, the one that I enjoy more than that one, and I'm assuming he's now retired, is the character Dr. Boo Boo that you would play with your daughter.
All right. So let me answer both of those. Jamarcus Russell. I respect him. I know where he came from. So I know what he's been through. And I've had a drinking issue before back in the day. So I don't have anything to say about Jamarcus. And then as far as Dr. Boo Boo, that was a name that I used to be able to trick my kids with. But literally, one of my kids got sick recently, and I said that, and they looked at me like I was crazy as hell. Like I was like really trying them, and I was really just trying to make them smile and feel better. But Dr. Boo Boo he's moved on. He's been kicked out of the house for a couple of years now. My kids are like, no one is going for that. And then as far as the hoopers, it's a lot of people that play basketball that are now rappers. And I always think that's cool, that if you had some type of life before, like, music, like, and it was in sports. So I have seen straight up a handful of rappers that can really hoop and ball. And if they did it consistently, it probably could be something like, with anything. But it's like with with rappers, we're always like, one day we'll see each other like, let's hoop Wednesday. And it's like, literally once every other month. So it's really, it causes for a potential to have an Achilles or sprain or knee or something like that because we're not heavily active. But I do know 5 to 10 rappers that can get out.
And you'd get in trouble if you excluded somebody, or you? I don't know what is the controversial part
No,
of this question.
that was really good, Dan. As far as using the word "get in trouble," knowing that my masculine part would be like, how the hell can I get in trouble? But I'm still very high in intellect, and I just don't feel like naming other dudes' names. Like they know who they are. They can hoop. They know. I mean, we seen J. Cole play for a team overseas. We know Quavo has won MVP at All-Star and things like that. We know who can hoop.
If I go back 20 years and tell you you can only have one of these, this kind of equivalent success that you've had in rap and basketball, or you can have it in hip hop, which would you choose?
So, rappers want to be hoopers, and a lot of hoopers want to be rappers. Now, there's two things. I feel like it's obviously more money in sports, but it's I think the work is harder, the traveling, the being away from family, the 80-something games, the practicing all the time. To be good, in order to be great, you got to do that times 10, okay? Now, to be a good rapper, you can come up with a hit record, go to the studio once or twice a week, get booked, get 50 to 100,000 for a show, have a nice car, nice house, girls. And if you want to be great at it, you do that times 10. So the rewards are a little different, but just how much you put in is vastly different. So I think for me, knowing what I know now, I would enjoy the space of where I am on stage,
Is there a hooper that you have heard him rap or her rap and said, yeah, really good, exceptional?
Yeah, yes, I have. Yes, I have.
You're going to leave it there? You're going to, it's
No,
my
no,
fault for
no,
asking.
no. I'm going to say this, bruh. Okay, I'm gonna say this for a fact. We know Dame Dollar can rap. Lou Will, I know he can rap. I know Steven Jackson can rap. But I think people don't realize how hard Kevin Durant is.
I don't think people know that.
There's your clickbait.
I don't think people know that.
KD hard.
Who do you regard as the best rapper to come out of Georgia?
Well, not so much, I guess you say rapper, but I'm a huge Andre 3000 fan.
I read an interview of yours where you talked about both working with Dre and Dre, pushing you a little bit, and working with Andre 3000.
I've been blessed to be in the studio with Dr. Dre and Andre 3000, who are at the highest level at what they do, right? And it's just things that you take with you, and from just being in the same space as those guys, and just understanding the history and their longevity, talking about me, and their longevity and their humbleness. And Dr. Dre is a super humble guy, welcomes me in his home anytime. Dre is a really dope creative who always, thinks outside the box. So I've been blessed to be in the same room with both of those guys.
Is there anyone that you find yourself awed by, where it might be younger? Perhaps that's not something that happens very much now, but somebody in the game that you're so humbled that you feel genuine awe?
It probably would be rest in peace, Kobe. Every time I shake his hand, see him at the game, just thinking about it now, I would definitely be in awe. Just like that was he one of them ones. So that's for me. No doubt. I remember that anytime I see him, I would just light up.
Now, his rap, though, and I say this with the most respect, I don't believe that his foray into rap was something that he would put in front of you and that you would say was necessarily as good as Durant's.
Well, I don't know, cause I know Kobe, when he did it, he took it seriously, and he's was bilingual or something. So I'm sure he can put some bars together, throw some Italiano in there, you know what I'm saying? And who knows? AI was dope at rapping. Like, people can actually do this. It's not like, it's not science, you know. If you study the game, if you're a fan, you know. Now, everybody just can't go get on an NBA team like because they got a sweet jump shot, but a lot of hoopers are able to put out a project.
A lot of rappers your age castigate the rap of today, calling it mumble rap or being condescending about it. Your thoughts are what about the way that the entire game has changed?
I don't think people say mumble rap anymore. That was old, probably like 3-4 years ago, pre-pandemic. I don't even hear people saying mumble rap. I think everybody's ears has caught up to the new sounds and the new waves and technology. So I don't think it's so much mumble rap. Everything has to change and form, and you know, as time goes on. So personally, as someone that is at my age, as you would say, I feel very comfortable about where the music industry is headed, and where, you know, artists my age are headed, still getting booked, still picking up bags. So, you know, I don't think that I don't even hear the mumble word anymore, honestly. So I think when it was out, I think people kind of act like they ignored it, but they paid attention and they started crossing their T's and dotting their I's.
Last I checked, it costs $100,000 to get you to feature. Is that has that price gone up? How does that work? Can you take me through sort of how it is that it happens that you end up featuring with somebody?
It's just business, you know.
Oh, is it just a delicate area, or it's not something that that you wish to elaborate on, like how it is that somebody comes about getting to collaborate with you?
I mean, it's a lot of ways. If somebody wants to work with me, it's different ways on getting in touch with me. If we are obviously friends in the industry, that number may not apply to them. If it's somebody else, if it's management involved, if it's for, you know, a movie, a television show, if it's for, you know, your show, or it's just different reasons on why the bag could be bigger than that or smaller. So that's why I would say it's just business.
You got to know loyalty very quickly, though. You were you naive? Were you naive 15 years ago that you thought that loyalty wouldn't be tested when money and fame and success arrived?
No, I don't think I've ever been naive. Just hadn't probably experienced it. And then honestly, I have. I'm from the streets before I started doing music, so they share similar qualities, actually.
And so what are you thinking of there when you say that the loyalty was less than what you would have expected, or I expect demanded?
No, I didn't say that. I just said how things, you know, 15 years ago, what you learn on the way. And this could, like I said, have to do with music, streets, podcasts, cooking, whatever it is. You know, along the way, you'll learn. If I was a chef and somebody didn't come in to work for a catering service, that would be a lack of loyalty. If I was in sports and a player, you know, didn't do what he was supposed to do. These are things that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about something specifically towards me or dealing with something naive with me. I'm actually a little bit ahead of my time. I'm highly intellectual. I'm a super duper player. I'm a great father, and I have really great intuition on things. So I can't say ain't nobody pulled a fast one on me, but I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket and trusting something like that anyway. I just got more game in it.
When you dreamt about this as a kid, what did it look like, and how is arriving at some of your dreams different, better than you expected, or worse than you expected?
Well, I used to write my autograph when I was young, and I see my son doing it now. And when I saw my son talking about autographs, I realized that I really manifested this life for me because as a kid, I was already preparing what my signature was going to look like when I would be in a rush and somebody want to stop me and get one. And look, I'm right here with you right now. And not to say that that alone did it, but the mind is a powerful tool.
But do your dreams look in reality like you imagined them? Like when you aspired and when you were inspired, did it look like this?
Yes, it did. That's a really good. I don't know if I heard you right the first time, but when you just said that, I kind of do dream in color, and I just I don't know. I pray a lot, and I just feel like I can do. And I'm not just saying this on to be cliche, like I could do anything I put my mind to or whatever that type of thing, but it's kind of like that a little bit. I think it is. It's kind of like that though. It's kind of like that. I have a very strong mindset.
Can you give me some of the landmarks in your career where you felt palpably moved by your surroundings, whether it was in a studio, whether it was performing, whether it was arriving at a check or an award or collaborating with someone, where you felt emotionally moved by what it is that you create?
Yeah. I've been emotionally moved on stage many a nights, thousands of fans reciting words that I actually thought of in my head, sometimes a year ago, sometimes 10 years ago. These songs are resonating with people, and I've actually looked up and said, thank you, God, many a times. I think, besides some awards like, Grammys and big records and plaques, just being on stage live in front of thousands of people who are there to see me can kind of make me like emotional a little bit, and not emotional to where I want to cry or laugh or do any one of those things, emotional to where I'm very grateful.
But not a particular setting or city or amphitheater. Is there any place that you could take us to that I'm conjuring now by asking you about it?
It would be different venues, but the common, I think, theme for me would be stage, whether it's Atlanta, New York, Florida, kind of that place for me on stage, looking at people in their eyes, different ages, different races. You know what I'm saying? That connection for me is it. It's not a particular one venue. It's the stage itself, being on that, standing tall and just knowing that, 15 years ago, all these people wouldn't be in this room for me. So that's what pulls my little string.
Can you give me a name of someone who was a fan of yours that it caught you off guard? You were surprised. You shook their hand, you met them, you talked to them on the phone, and you were like, I wasn't expecting you to be a fan of what I do.
A lot of people are fans of me. I'm a cool dude, but I know I think one person that came to a couple of my shows and invited me out a couple of times, probably Leonardo. So it's a cool dude.
Leonardo, can you tell me a little bit about what you did?
No.
Why,
No.
why not?
I don't want to do that. I don't want I think he's a cool dude. He enjoys what I do, and I'm a Leonardo DiCaprio fan. So it's cool to have that. Real talk. It's real cool to have that kind of relationship.
I imagine that you have opinions on what's going on politically in Georgia. Is that something that you share, or do you stay out of that game?
I don't want to talk about nothing political, please.
That's why I asked the question the way that
you know how to ask them, but I know how to answer them too. So
well, I'm not trying to trick you. I sense it. We've talked enough, and you've done enough of this that it seems like I've got a little bit of a shield up. That you're afraid that I'm going for gotcha, and I'm just asking you questions because I'm curious. I'm not trying to trick you on anything.
Oh no, I know that. I don't think you're trying. I'm not even thinking that way, brother. Honestly, I'm not. But though I heard the word politics, and I just don't want to speak on it. That's all.
Who is somebody right now that is doing it that you're like, that person is changing the form, that person is testing boundaries? I like what that person is doing artistically. They inspire me.
In what space?
The hip hop space.
Hip hop. I like what this person is doing. They inspire me. Oh man. All artists inspire me.
That's not what I asked you, though. That's not. you know that.
Hey, this like pulling teeth, Dan. You know what? You know what's going. You know who I am. I know who you are, right? I know. So you're just gonna have to deal with it, Dan.
No, but yes, I know who you are. But here's the thing: sometimes I ask the question that lures out Dr. Boo Boo. Yeah, there's no telling what angle it is that happened that I have to do. Where next thing you know, you're on your hands and knees, you're wearing a doctor's outfit, and you're attending to your daughter's needs for an hour as a pretend doctor. I never know the question that's going to lure that guy out.
Yeah, I've done that before. I've done that for my kids before. I try to, if they sick, I try to get the sick from them. Like, give me your code. I get close to them. I do all that. But like I said, Dr. Boo, we got kicked out the house. The kid's not going for that anymore. And then, I'm following you the whole way, man. You my mans, man. I rock with you and the fam, man. I just know what's going on. That's all, man. So, but I don't have on a shield at all. I'm actually enjoying talking to you because I think you're very articulate. You know what I'm saying? You always know what you're talking about. So I like that.
Well, I appreciate the time with you. I always appreciate the time with you. Again, I should let the people know Amazon Music recently announced the launch of a weekly live stream concert series. And it says music's biggest stars. Is that all you're giving us? Is just the generic music's biggest stars? Or you're gonna tell people who some of these stars are?
Well, yeah. I'm just gonna tell you biggest superstars because obviously they need to do what they need to do business wise and promo wise, and then it'll kind of give people. Next week we have Kane Brown. I can announce the person that we're having the next week, but moving too far ahead. And I already know. Obviously, I've already done different drops and commercials for so many dope and talented artists. Some that I have been able to watch on stage, and some that I haven't. But I just can't give them the whole list. And they're not paying me to let the cats out the bag. Now you know that. You just know that. Is it pulling teeth with me? Is it okay?
It's not pulling teeth. It's just unpredictable. I said, and I think you like it. See, this is part of it, right? You're laid back, and as you said, you're comfortable in your own skin. So you like the mystery. And what I could tell, no matter how stoic you are, is you like to have me sit in the awkward silences. You like the leverage of it. You like being able to be on that couch, super comfortable in that sweater and in your skin, and making me keep work for it. Like you're enjoying. Yeah, I see it on your face. You make me work for it. And you're like, and it's a good power to have. You're at the top of your game. You're out here for Amazon. You're doing big things with, as you said, music's biggest stars, but not letting any cats out of any bags. And you like to sit there and stare at me. And look at from behind those sunglasses, I see it. You can't even hide it behind your smile. And you like to see my discomfort.
Listen though. You don't understand my discomfort with these dinosaurs in your fucking backyard or whatever's crawling. So I'm trying to be conscious of the questions that you're asked. They're good questions. And then it's like a lion, whatever the hell is crawling in the back, bro. It's like a 50-pound cat.
Yes,
that's the biggest cat I've ever seen.
It's a Siberian tiger. It is. Yes, it's a.
Swear it is.
I have tigers in my backyard. That's how I roll. That's how
it looks like. It looks like a tiger, bro. So that's what's throwing me off to you. You want these serious questions about, and then a tiger is crawling, is walking behind you, brother.
I'll see you later. They're wrapping us up. Thank you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Man, tell Poppy I said K Pasa, man. I'll see y'all soon.
Cuídate. Somebody just went into the back and dusted off the wheel of issues, Stugotz.
No way.
Yes, the wheel of issues has been brought out on a Content Wednesday because it's no longer spiced up this month. I don't know what happened to Bacardi, but hopefully Bacardi will return to spice up our Wednesdays. Instead, what you've gotten is a whole lot of politics today, which isn't as spiced up as Wednesdays have been around here. But the wheel of issues has on it the following things. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Cuban politics, how Hispanics vote.
Huh.
Are the Giants for real?
Oh, wow.
Munchkins.
Ooh.
The Statue of Liberty.
Right.
The Arizona Coyotes.
Right.
And talk to Matt Sullivan about the Nets.
Huh.
So go ahead and spin that wheel, Whitty, back there, and let's see, which one do you want it to land on here as we turn this into a game?
Are the Giants for real? Duh.
Okay. Do we have any preferences in the back room there? Where's it going to land? It doesn't matter what your preferences
Really fascinated
are.
by the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah,
lately.
so am I. Yeah.
Where did it land?
Talk to Matt Sullivan about Kyrie Irving.
Oh, my God.
I can't believe it.
What about the Giants?
Wow.
Billy, are you sure that's where it's landed, or do we need a recount?
I can't see from my seat, honestly.
Are you sure it didn't land on Cuban politics, how Hispanics vote?
Just
Maybe some
missed.
other time.
You want Billy to do a recount? You really want to talk about this, don't you?
Are you denying the vote? What's happening?
His book, Can't Knock the Hustle, Inside the Season of Protest, Pandemic, and Progress with the Brooklyn Nets, Superstars of Tomorrow. Good God almighty, Matt Sullivan. We were talking yesterday about in the most apocalyptic of fictional scenarios, I do not believe the Nets, that someone could have conjured a Nets season or a Nets time with more calamity, giving these particular guys the keys to the franchise. Even you, who have reported this more exhaustively than most, you are stunned by the recent proceedings, are you not?
I would say stunning with Kyrie Irving is impossible because anything is possible. And you talk about this kind of apocalyptic version of basketball. He lives in an apocalypse. I mean, I've spoken to people, very briefly because they don't love me anymore, but the folks by Kyrie's side, and he lives in this kind of apocalyptic little Montclair mansion bunker in New Jersey. I mean, Dan, his entourage that is whipping up this disaster across basketball and our culture currently consists of, I believe, a holistic influencer wife, an anti-vaxxer aunt who we've discussed before, a father known for his outbursts against NBA team staffers, an agent / stepmom / VP of ad sales at BET, a publicist who is paid to say no comment, and ironically, I found out this week, a personal driver / BFF who coaches basketball at a Hebrew school. And this, according to Woj and Ramona, all while Kyrie kind of stares at his missed calls from, the responsible people, while standing by these kind of protocols of the elders of Zion and these sickening claims that victims of the Holocaust are somehow imposters. So I know Amin was talking last week about enablers of celebrities, but it seems to me at least that the celebrities are the enablers of hate now. And I guess what Mike Schur would call a cousin of the disease of me is now spreading like a virus throughout the league.
Do you have a reported explanation for what was the consequence that got Kyrie's attention that went from Kyrie Irving as being flippant in a press setting where most people would be a little bit scared, and 12 hours later, Instagram apology that's profuse?
Yeah, I've had some frankly kind of saddening conversations over the past 2 weeks. I've spoken to people who, I guess we could say, have been told of the Nets franchise's decision-making, who say that Joe and Clara Tsai, who you'll remember are considered co-owners, and Clara is quite a philanthropist, a do-gooder. And I was told that the Tsais watched this entirely vile documentary on their couch 2 weekends ago, and that they thought about potentially cutting Kyrie. This is even though the lying GM of the Nets, Sean Marks, said last week that the team never considered it. But I was told that the Tsais kind of realized that they'd be making a martyr, as you guys have discussed, out of a stubborn fool, right? So maybe those conditions to return are a way to kind of be able to release him without Kyrie taking the money and the martyrdom with him. I've connected with, I spoke at length with officials at the Anti-Defamation League, including the CEO, on the morning of that kind of bullshit statement of Kumbaya, where Kyrie kind of originally refused to apologize. And then right after I got off the phone with the ADL guy, Adam Silver stepped in. Then there's these reported threats of violence against Jews not far from Kyrie's house in Jersey by the FBI. And then the Nets suspended him. And then it kind of went on from there. And the CEO of the ADL was telling me that he was in this kind of, back and forth where Sy tweeted that he wanted to sit down with Kyrie to tell him, how wrong it is to spread all this hate. But that sit down never came. Kyrie sent his dad, who's a devout Christian, and his stepmom, who's his agent. He sent his parents. And the CEO of the ADL, which is considered the kind of leading nonprofit that fights anti-Semitism, he told me, quote, "I was definitely why am I not speaking directly with him?" So this statement comes out, and Kyrie, pledged to give $500,000 toward eradicating hate. Crazy Aunt Tyke tells me that, not sure where that money might be going. And the ADL CEO said he wasn't sure if Kyrie was even going to show up. So I think it was kind of this lack of accountability that led to him being backed into a corner by Sy, by Silver being the adults in the room. But I think a big thing that we need to talk about, Dan, is he going to be held accountable? Is he going to give in to any of these demands? I mean, I think that Kyrie's being set up to fail, perhaps to never return to basketball again. I mean, when I was reporting my book, Embedded with the Nets a couple seasons ago, there was this mass stabbing at a Hasidic rabbi's house perpetrated by a man who essentially believed the same hate that's in this documentary. And the ADL worked with the Nets then and with the NBA to arrange for the Nets to wear these kind of pregame warm-up T-shirts that read "No place for hate." And I looked at Kyrie's locker that night, Dan, before and after the game, and he left his "No place for hate" T-shirt on the back of his chair. So we'll see if he does that again here, or if he's maybe on his way to being gone.
What?
Spinning the wheel of issues.
Wait a minute. I'm talking to the man.
Tony, where'd it land?
I think it landed on the Statue of Liberty. Is that what it was?
Wow, Lady Liberty.
I see it.
How about
I
that?
see it. So it's actually good time for a plug. The MMA Hangout's going to New York to cover UFC 281 this weekend. Massive fights over at Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. And I was telling Billy, I invited Billy to come with me, and I was like, look, we could. What do you mean?
You never invited me.
Yes, I did. I invited you a month ago. I told you can come. We can have a great time. We can see Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, all that good stuff. You told me what?
I didn't want to go with
Okay,
you.
thank you. So I did invite you.
And
Okay.
Statue of Liberty, by the way, and Matt, maybe you can agree or disagree on this. Not impressive from far away. Too small.
Yeah, you got to squint.
Yeah.
So it's a bit squinty.
Wait a minute. We're not talking to
fair
Matt right
point,
now. We're
yeah.
doing Statue of Liberty.
Well, that's what came up.
But we talk
but
to Matt
Matt's
when
here.
Matt
Yeah.
comes up.
Right.
You're putting the burden of Statue of Liberty content on him?
He seemed happy about it. He's been waiting to
I'm
give that
not
take his
interested.
entire
Doesn't
life.
Matt live in New York?
I'm not
That's what I'm
interested in
saying.
his opinion on the
seen it
Statue of
before.
Liberty.
Could you climb up to the top one time?
Easy.
Like, did they still
on the outside.
But did they still do?
It's Ghostbusters 2, Dan.
Did they still let you climb to the top? Is my question.
Matt,
Can't you sit in the crown or whatever? Old people, I don't know, somebody.
You can. I believe you can
Spin
sit
the
in
wheel
the crowd.
again,
Yeah.
please. Spin the
It
wheel
costs extra,
again.
though, I think.
The Arizona Coyotes.
Oh my God! I can't believe it.
Coyotes.
That was Cuban politics. How Hispanics vote.
Roy, that arena is tiny.
4,000 people?
There's a professional sports team that's playing an arena that hosts 4,700 people. And it
Really?
actually seems like a great place to go and watch a game. I'm kind of jealous. I want my team to play in a 4,700 seat arena.
I was going to say it's where the Canes should play.
You stole the joke out of my mouth, Stugotz.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. You come at me, I don't give you a laugh.
He's biased.
Abuse of justice, once again.
Agreed that it's intimate, Witty. 4,700 people sounds like something for a concert recital. It seems like a lovely place to watch indoor soccer, though, not necessarily one of the bigger sports.
It's a professional sports team. 40, and it's on the college campus of Arizona State. They don't have locker rooms that are big enough to house a professional hockey team. So they've built temporary ones that are just basically in the middle of the corridor. So they have to just get changed in the middle of nowhere. And it's an incredibly bizarre setup that they're going to be there for a minimum of 3 years. A professional sports team is going to have the revenue of a 4,700 seat arena for 3. How
Regional
Why?
TV,
Why?
the tickets don't matter.
Well,
It's all
just
about.
move the team to Saskatchewan or something like that. Why are they playing in Arizona?
You just wanted to say Saskatchewan.
I almost said Regina, but I said it again.
Whoa.
What? Can you say that?
That's the name of a place.
Oh,
Honestly, the Brooklyn Nets should play there.
Can you spin the wheel again, please?
I feel like Roy had more on the Coyotes, Dan.
he did.
Well, it's a good thing it landed on Coyotes again.
Wow. Oh, my God.
That's never
What
happened
are
before.
the chances?
Yeah, I was going to say, using the word intimate, just because the place has very
Yeah.
limited seating, is kind of a fancy way of saying, hey, we don't have a lot of people going on here.
It's sort of like when it's the difference between calling Manu Ginobili old versus experienced.
Yes.
So, like, if you want to put the positive spin on what's going on with the Arizona Code, yeah, it's an intimate setting. It's a great place to watch a game.
Speaking of Zillow, that's one of those Zillow buzzwords. If you see cozy, it means this house is fucking tiny.
Yes.
Your furniture will not fit inside of it.
Spin the wheel again, please. Cuban politics, how Hispanics vote.
Wow, it's landed again on Kyrie Irving with Matt Sullivan.
Amazing.
I can't believe it.
Amazing. Luckily, he's still here. I mean,
The name of the book, Can't Knock the Hustle, Inside the Season of Protest, Pandemic, and Progress with the Brooklyn Nets Superstars of Tomorrow. The
Or
reporting,
yesterday at this point.
the reporting is exhaustive, and Stephen A. Smith said that he thought that the 6-point plan that you mentioned that the Nets hit Kyrie with, he called it emasculating, is the word that he used. And you would buy the theory, Matt, that the Nets are purposely trying to make this punitive enough to Kyrie, a stubborn person, because they know him, that they can get out from under the contract or waive him or just be done with all of it, make a set of demands, even though he's already done 3 of them, and sensitivity training doesn't seem like much of a demand to me. Make the things that Kyrie would not accept so that you've put him in a corner and at a crossroads.
Yeah, as a couple former coaches described to me when I texted with them this week, he's never had to back down. And I think they find that, quote, mind-boggling, but they also think that Kyrie will have periods, just like Kanye West has periods where he sucks it up and does the work. I don't think it's that hard to go to sensitivity training for a half hour, even if you are a stubborn fool. But I've also heard from a couple of people familiar with the Nets franchise decision-making that Ime Udoka, as scandal-ridden as he is, and as much as the league has kind of put the temporary brakes on that, is expected to come in and try to level with Kyrie. And it was described to me not as being a babysitter, but to save this dumpster fire, I believe it was described to me as. And if he can't get through to Kyrie, then they'll test the trade market. So, look, if he's going to be stubborn, the Nets are going to be able to wriggle their way out of the contract and not let him be a martyr. If Ime comes in, after a bit of this scandal passes, right, you can see it being a Friday night hire, then maybe you give that a week or two. And as the trade deadline looms, I could see Kyrie going for nothing. Maybe I've heard that the Nets would even eat a bunch of salary just to kind of rid themselves of this problem. I think it comes down to whether, Joe Tsai really believes in bigger than basketball while Sean Marks is trying to hang on to his job and eke out a couple more wins. I think it could go either way. I think Adam Silver's now played his adult in the room card and will probably move on to building some anti-Semitism programs across the league. You'll see a PSA soon, I've kind of been told. So the league will try to make it go away. The Nets will hold fast, but ultimately the ball is in Kyrie's court.
Matt, do you have any knowledge or information as to how KD feels about all this? Does he stand with Kyrie? Is he embarrassed by this? Does he realize he made probably a bad choice in teammates? Like, where is KD on all this?
I think KD has clearly stood against Kyrie before with the anti-vax stuff. I think he's probably just rolling his eyes. He's made clear that, he stands against hate, but he wants to just make this go away. I mean, KD likes to hoop. I think what's more interesting, Stugotz, is, having these saddening conversations with Kyrie's fellow players around the league, some friends, some ex-teammates who I've texted back and forth with. I mean, there's one player, smart player, curious guy, who wants to be, quote, educated before he speaks on something as controversial as this. And he was saying that he didn't want to distance himself from Kyrie. This guy's a black player, I should say. And he began to watch this vile documentary and that he didn't see anything anti-Semitic. And he's not the only one, Stugotz. Kyrie's fellow players are liking crazy shit on Instagram. They're following conspiratorial accounts that have been re-platformed. And, they're privately talking about this kind of black Israelite theory, which maybe deserves some curiosity. I think I've seen, folks coming to Kyrie's defense about this. And I think that's not about emasculating, that's about standing strong. But Kyrie's movie isn't just rising on Amazon, guys. It's the go-to binge watch in NBA team hotels across the nation. And, Dan, I know you talk a lot about kind of American idiocracy, but this to me is like how American hate can brainwash our influencers. Even the KDs of the world are probably watching this thing. And it's this ignorant egotism that Kyrie spreads with his kind of narcissism disguised as like a gospel of woo-woo. And I know we're sitting here the day after Election Day saying there's no red wave, but to me, I mean, Dan, I'm curious what you think about this, but this kind of insidious idiocracy on our wheel of real issues is bubbling beneath the surface. It finds us in social media, it finds these players, and it comes out as kind of false role models. Wannabe prophets.
Is this your theory, though, on why we haven't heard more black voices in the sport denounce Kyrie loudly and obviously by name? Because the tactic of white supremacy to get blacks and Jews and others fighting amongst each other is happening in the NBA because of what it is that is happening around Kyrie, and the added bonus of black people rallying around a black person to the degree that they can so that they're not committing the black on black crime of also landing on Kyrie when plenty of people are already flagellating Kyrie. And, there's a unity born here from all manner of tribes just to protect the tribe, especially, as Jerry Jones has said, Matt, we love when the black guy gets out there and has to be contrite and has to be, he has to put down his ego and show us contrition because he's broken. And then you get the tribalism and the division that happens after that.
100%. And it's hard to completely speak on this as a white dude, but you look at the Instagram posts of Kyrie's entourage and these yes men and yes women, they insist that Kyrie was sort of apologizing in his early media availabilities, just not the way that like the system wanted him to apologize. And I think you see someone like Jaylen Brown, who's a curious intellectual who, I've talked to like his professor at Berkeley who pushes him on issues like this and to question education and history. And that's all well and good. But I think, educate yourself before you speak on something. Well, educate yourself on hate and the divisiveness of this trope that's been around, as I think Mike was saying, for a century and a half, and say something about it. And Candace Buckner wrote a great column in the Washington Post calling out these guys. Good on the Nick Friedel's of the world for standing their ground, but where are all the beat reporters calling out these players and pushing them on why they're not saying anything? And the silence is deafening, but at the same time, I do think I wouldn't call it a tribalism, but they've got to be careful. There's also union stuff involved. The lawyer who's going to probably file the appeal of Kyrie's suspension is like an Orthodox Jew. I mean, there's all sorts of weird internecine competing agendas and beliefs involved here. And I think there's a lot more bubbling beneath the surface. And I think Kyrie's going to come out of this defiant and let the union do some of his talking and let the silence speak in his defense from his NBA brotherhood.
Again?
Wow.
Cuban politics. How
Finally gets
Big money. Big
how
money.
Hispanics vote
Big money.
in Florida.
Munchkin.
I love a munchkin.
Did you know I brought in munchkins for the class today because I was feeling
Very
like
thoughtful of you.
we needed some munchkins, and I was at Dunkin'. They're not on the menu anymore, at least not the one that I was at. It was only drinks that were on the menu, so I had to ask, like, hey, how many can I buy here? And they said any amount over 5, and I said, okay, I'll take 24 because I thought that there's a dozen, Baker's dozen, 2 dozen. They said, well, we only do 25, and I'm like, okay, well, it's not any
how they
number
get
over
you.
5 then.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll do 25. I thought I was gonna get a little box, like the toolbox of munchkins. They didn't have that anymore. They just threw them all in a bag. So I brought them in, and I told everyone that they could have
Seriously.
munchkins. And then Tony said that I could eat 1,000 munchkins.
Munchkins are only donut holes, correct? That's all
Yeah,
they
they're
are.
donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the
But
name.
Dunkin' Donuts has changed, man. Like, get back to basics. You know what?
Well,
I should have to search out Munchkins in the box that they put the Munchkins in. Like, enough with the coffee. Like, get back to donuts.
Well, I
okay?
think that they rebranded. They're no longer Dunkin' Donuts.
no,
They're
it's
just
just Dunkin'.
Dunkin'.
That's why I don't
Just
go there
Dunkin'.
anymore.
And so they're
You haven't gone there in 30 years.
Unbrand then.
Put it
Go
on the
back.
poll, please, Guillermo at LeBatard Show. Hey, Duncan, get back to donuts.
How many Munchkins do you guys think you can eat though, Matt? How many?
It's only Matt's turn when you spin the wheel and you
And
get
it
Matt
lands on
Sullivan
Matt.
to talk
Right,
about the
right,
Nets.
right.
Oh,
You,
forget it.
Sitting
you
there.
think Tony obviously couldn't eat 1,000 of those, but
I think we set the over-under, Dan, at 30 and a half. I could do over 30 and a half Munchkins.
why'd you put the over under there? That sounds low. What's that?
if you're
Like-
doing like an eating
that's
competition,
like 5 donuts, isn't it? 6
Wait,
donuts.
hold on. What's the prize if I do it? Like, if you're telling me I'm getting
grid of
something.
death punishment. You get one cleared off by eating
by
as many
eating 30?
as many
Ooh,
Munchkins
that's
as you can.
That's not a punishment. Eat as many as you can. What if I'm like, I can only eat 4? I'm done.
I mean, okay, eat 50.
Wow.
But
Jesus.
over 30,
You guys should do
like
your fundraiser on the 10th.
right.
You add this as an event.
Okay,
with
good.
merch involved.
Why is
Merch.
Matt
It must.
Sullivan talking
Well, he's
when
coming
it
down to eat
hasn't
Munchkins.
landed on the
yeah.
wheel on Matt Sullivan?
But I
don't
have to go over
understand.
30 and a half to get rid of a grid of death. I have to eat donuts to get rid of a punishment?
Yeah.
Done. I mean, I buy down the half. I
No.
make it 30. We're good.
Remember the last time you did that, though?
The last time you did this donut thing, you got the ones that were all sugary, and you were like, you looked like you were going to.
It was
have
so
a heart
ridiculous.
attack.
You barely
You were
had
shaking,
10.
but he was shaking.
Golic, and then ate a bunch. Like the time you did this was embarrassing. You did it with powdered donuts.
I
which-
did. Yeah.
Oh, again.
talking.
Cuban politics. Cuban politics.
Matt Sullivan.
Oh, for the love of God. Matt, how does this end? You predict it's going to end with a you don't think this meeting, it was reportedly yesterday, Silver and Kyrie, the details they're flimsy. You think this is going to escalate now when everyone emerges from this meeting?
I think he's going to suck it up, do the sensitivity training. He went to the principal's office. Now he goes to the new coach, talks to KD, who's probably up in his ear about just hooping. I think he's back out on the court, but if it doesn't work, if he's ignoring plays like he reportedly did, according to all these scouts who just, Steve Nash would call a play and he just did the opposite. If he's still pulling any of those antics or rolling his eyes or saying any of this shit in the media scrums, I think they're going to try to trade him. I don't think anybody wants to touch him with a 10-foot pole. And so that means he's headed down the path of Russell Westbrook, which we all know doesn't end too well at all.
The new coach, of course, Jeff Saturday. Thank you, Matt Sullivan. We appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
God bless America.
If LSU loses out, I don't think that benefits Bama at all.
If who?
LSU. You need
It gets them
you
to
need
the SEC
Tennessee,
championship game, though.
right? But they still have 2 losses.
Right, but then
You
they
need
beat-
Tennessee or Georgia to have a loss to get one of them out of the top 4.
Well, no, but I'm thinking the Georgia loss is to Alabama.
I still don't think Alabama gets in with 2 losses, unless another team has 2 losses.
I don't know
Multiple
why I
teams.
want this to happen so badly, but I do.
Oh, because
Why do you
the
want
whole,
Alabama in the playoff?
the
in
whole
first
basis of
place?
your college football being is saying that someone's better than Alabama or not better than Alabama. So
Right.
You just do the same thing now, but with Georgia.
Well,
No,
I
but
mean,
it-
Georgia hasn't beaten Alabama yet this year. I mean,
right, you did this all of last year until they won
Yes.
the national championship.
right.
Remember when Mike shaved his head?
Despite the fact that you were wrong about Alabama.
Well, I was right. That
Well,
one
you were
time.
right that one time and then wrong that other
And then
time.
wrong,
Poor
yeah,
timing.
that's fair.
Mike eats the toilet paper tomorrow, correct?
Is he actually doing
No
that?
chance.
TP.
I think
He's going to blame the hurricane on that.
you guys think no chance on TP?
What if it's sold out of Publix? Oh wait, no one's taking the hurricane seriously. I forgot. All the toilet paper is still there.
Fully stocked right now. You're right. No one's taking this storm seriously. We should, but we're not.
That is, I don't believe that's true, and I
I mean-
believe the flooding is coming, and I believe there are many responsible people who aren't doing what you guys are doing. Other than
Who's you guys? I have 2 full boxes of pasta waiting to be boiled at my house.
Wow.
I think it's going to be something that we can avoid, but it seems like a disastrous combination, a November storm that becomes a hurricane.
And a
during
full moon.
King Tide and a full moon.
And King Tide season.
And there's a winter storm somewhere else in the country.
I don't like this.
No, this is not good. Let's talk about sports. A couple of things that I wanted to get to. Is Dan Orlovsky going to go run the Colts with Jeff Saturday? Because he has been suggesting that he's open for a call if Jeff Saturday wants some help running the Colts. And I'm here for the idea of just simply hiring people off television to run your sports teams and give it a whirl.
He said this on the Dan Patrick Show, that Saturday has not, directly offered him a job, but when Saturday took the job, he started thinking about all these conversations he's had recently with Jeff Saturday about coaching, about how much he would love to coach, Saturday would love to coach, and Orlovsky is thinking perhaps, based on their relationship and how much they talked, about coaching, about philosophy, about offense, about defense, about scheming, that maybe he'll get the call from Jeff Saturday to be the quarterback's coach. I mean, what is happening in sports?
There's been other TV guys that have worked for front offices, right? I mean, there's a bunch. Like
Work for front offices, but not run the thing.
Run the teams.
Has it been since Matt Millen?
Matt Millen was hired basically off television.
I mean, John Gruden was most recently on TV when he was hired.
The minor quibble I would have with that is that at least John Gruden had a pattern of success before he was on television. Running an organ, run a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Right, I understand that. I don't think it's that weird to make that jump. Like there was the Barton Simmons, who was the CBS Sports or Rivals 247 guy that got hired by Vanderbilt's football team recently. Is the most recent person I can think of. It's not unheard of.
Well, Louis Riddick is going to get a job.
Is he?
Television does elevate these people just because it's why so many of them, I'm guessing it's why Tannenbaum goes running right back to ESPN. Because
Herm Edwards.
John Lynch.
You
Mike Mayock.
You keep yourself relevant, and all you have to
Herm.
do is...
What about Herm?
Oh, Steve Martin. Is a
Oh my God.
No.
What?
Why isn't Amin in any of these discussions? Why aren't we recycling Amin and having him run an organization now?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, Amin absolutely should have elevated from being in the video room to working his way up to director of pro personnel with the Phoenix Suns, be on television for a few years, and then be eligible to be a general manager. Has he done too much? Has revealing things on his computer to Kevin O'Connor ruled him out of the Los Angeles Clippers GM job?
I would say it's more his cinephobe catalog.
A number of obstacles getting in Amin's way. It's not, but now Jeff Saturday is a bit of a pioneer, allowing all of us to believe in the hope that somebody who is the 17th football broadcaster in a network can parlay that and snapping the ball to Peyton Manning into running the entire NFL franchise.
I was using Matt Millen as the most recent, but Jess is right. John Lynch was the number 2 analyst on Fox and is like the president of the 49ers. Mike Mayock turned his draftnik sort of expertise into running the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, these are not... I guess Lynch is a decent example of it working. They've built a really good roster around Jimmy Garoppolo, but it is kind of wild that for as much as the television expertise has gotten really good, it is sort of tertiary level analysis because ultimately the very best people are in the job. And you mentioned Louis Riddick is going to get a job. He's been up for how many? It's been for 4 years. He's been up for it. He was in the Monday Night booth and out of the Monday Night booth in the time that he's still been maybe getting a job. It's kind of wild how, maybe the analysis we're getting is still elevated, but it's not the very top level because the top level guys are in the actual atmosphere.
Who do we think the worst TV person you could put in charge of a football team is? Who is going to be...
Amin.
I would have said Herm Edwards before he got hired by Arizona State.
Steve Kerr didn't have a broadcasting job, right? Steve Kerr and Derek Fisher also cut the line, and neither of those guys came directly from broadcasting.
Steve Kerr was calling games, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the primary TNT.
Yeah.
Analyst. Yeah, he was next to Marv Albert for all those years.
But because I just thought that he and Derek Fisher came at the same time. Derek Fisher was not having anything to do with broadcasting.
No,
correct?
he had just retired. It was him and Jason Kidd were the just retired players that had done literally nothing and all of a sudden were head coaches.
What is it about Stugotz? You explain it to me. As Elon Musk takes over, we talked about this some yesterday, assuming that you're good at one thing and ran one place, that you'd be and have the expertise to run another. If I simply say to you, just absent anything else, you're the Colts, you need a friendly face, you're hiring somebody who's got high school coaching experience, he's a smart guy, he's a broadcaster, everybody likes him. But I need a coach for my team. Somebody with no experience, as Deion Sanders has to go through Jackson State to get his chance, because everyone laughed at the idea of him being an NFL coach when he said 5 years before Jackson State, hey, I'd like to coach.
Right.
And everybody said, well, you can't cut the line like that.
No one took him seriously.
You tell me, explain it to me, because center, thinking man's position, Jeff Saturday looks like he knows what he's doing. And Jeff Saturday's greatest qualification for that job is that he snapped the ball to Peyton Manning.
And his eyes. I mean, yeah.
He was the guy who was at the center of some of their big winning. Everybody likes him.
You know what the Colts need now, Dan? It's not like when I say Indianapolis Colts, well, that too. But I play this game with my friends all the time. It's like you just throw something out there, first 5 things that pop into your head. Right. But that's not the case
Wide
with
receivers.
Because when I say Colts, Jeff Saturday would not be one of the first 5 names. But you know what they need?
Defensive edge.
They need a top 5 most popular player of all time. They need some feel good. They need a smile. They need that face. They need someone they're familiar with. And Jeff Saturday is the perfect guy. I don't know if he can coach. I don't know if he can coach. We're going to all find out together.
I literally thought you were going to say Andrew Luck. Jeff Saturday wasn't the first person I thought
of. Or Peyton Manning.
No one would be laughing if it was Peyton. Yeah, but Peyton doesn't make you feel good. Maybe Peyton gets the job next year when they have a quarterback and everything's in place. But for right now, you can look past 7 more losses as long as Jeff Saturday is sitting there and he's smiling and he's staring at you.
Billy, what are you
Colts
laughing?
fans
What
will
are you
be
laughing
happy.
at?
I
You
mean,
know what the
the
Colts
rare
need?
Saturday that coaches on a Sunday. How about that?
Jeff Sunday.
Oh, come on!
Billy, what were you
Rick
laughing
Monday.
at?
The Colts need a smile, was what the Colts need.
It's boring. I mean, they need someone to spice up the joint.
So a wildly unqualified smile.
Oh, who cares?
Did Irsay?
He's a qualified smiler.
That's great, Stugotz. Who cares? Who's running the franchise? Who cares? Okay.
The season's going nowhere anyways. You take a shot at Jeff Saturday, you see what happens.
I mean, when you traded for Matt Ryan, you really said, who cares? Also,
They're stuck with that contract next year, by the way.
Do you think that Peyton Manning turned that down? Because the first call, you're not calling Saturday before you're calling Peyton Manning, are you?
Well, he was a consultant for the team, so
I think not to call Peyton Manning because he's going to say no.
So it's a job. So Peyton Manning lives in such a sphere that head coaching the Colts is a step down.
He's always. I mean, I think his stated goal is to become an owner.
Yes,
that's what he wants to do.
But with no qualifications. If they call Peyton and are like, Peyton, we need some help. We just need. Do you love football enough to just help us out here as a bandage for a little while?
That's a pay cut.
Yeah, for real.
That's a big pay cut.
And also like a stress. Although I guess he stresses the Manning cast quite a bit. But on the evidence of watching the Manning cast, I think he'd run onto the field and strangle Sam Ehlinger. If he made a mistake with clock management or getting to the team to the line of scrimmage.
But would he help me out for a second? Who's your favorite Dolphin? Not the greatest Dolphin. Who's the most popular Dolphin of all time? Like a guy that just makes you happy.
I mean, in my time watching the Dolphins, there's frankly not a lot of Jason Taylor.
Wow. Okay, so
who also happens to be a very good coach.
In the middle of a season that's going nowhere, would it not make, and they fire the coach, would it not make you happy at least for 8 games, regardless of the outcome, that JT is on the sidelines?
No, it
Really?
would just be
Why?
the end.
Why?
It would
You
just
said
be
he's a good coach.
It would just be the end of a wasted season. You're declaring that I don't care about the season anymore. By not even like trying to promote a defensive coordinator or someone who internally you believe could actually become a great head coach. Like why? What is the point of these Jeff Saturday games?
Because
what is Indianapolis achieving with these 8 Jeff Saturday games?
Because you're going to get a new coach anyways.
Right.
So like,
and it's going to be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah,
I mean, that's obvious.
whatever coach you raise up, you're not going to extend. You're going to be getting a new coach anyway. So Stugotz is saying, why not just have a fun person
Jeff
in there?
Saturday.
Yeah.
Hey.
I kind of get it now.
Who's standing on the sideline doesn't like add to my degree of fun an iota. Like they cut to the sideline. Jason Taylor is standing there and like, oh wow, this is fun. Watching my team not move the ball on offense.
If you're gonna lose, you lose with Jeff Saturday, not with Frank Reich. If you're gonna lose, you lose with Jason Taylor. If I'm a Jet fan, I wish Wayne Corbett was the coach for the last 10 years.
Woody, tell me you're not a Notre Dame fan without telling me you're not a Notre Dame fan.
I want Peyton Manning to not only take that job with the Colts, but continue doing the Manning cast and take that job as promotion for the Manning cast.
What if they obviously don't have any Monday night games the rest of the season, right? But what if he
they
does
could.
Manning cast while he's
I'm
coaching?
saying on one condition, Irsay. I will give it my best, but also I'm keeping the Manning cast. And Omaha Productions is going to come in here and we're going to get all sorts of content. I want my run of the place.
I think Irsay would agree.
They need to set up like a lazy boy on the sideline and all the cameras and everything. He could sit on the chair from the sideline calling the game for the Colts while the cameras are there videotaping him for ESPN and Eli Manning's on Zoom somewhere.
They actually do have a Monday night game in 2.5 weeks' time,
What?
home against the Steelers.
Do you realize
Wow.
the ratings that would get when Peyton Manning leaves the Barca Lounger to kill on live television Ellinger?
Peyton would start Ellinger.
Strangle
I think he
him
would
to
put him in a
death.
sleeper hold. I do. Like the first time that he overshot a receiver to the sideline by 5 yards.
Assault.
Peyton's places where bodies are buried.
I'm getting to it.
So there's only 2 topics left on the wheel of issues
Finally.
from the Matt Sullivan interview. So we got to spin the wheel because we got to cover them. So
Yes.
no, it's a post game show though, so we only got time for one.
Right. But what are the 2 topics that
So
remain?
let's spin the wheel
Okay,
and
all right.
and it'll reveal itself.
Okay.
Finally, at long last, we get to discuss.
Yes.
Are the Giants for real?
Are they?
Oh. Yeah. Hey, where you going?
I don't believe in them.
Dan.
I think they were. We discussed this like a week and a half
Where's he
ago.
going?
Where you going?
The
We finally
Giants.
got to the topics.
He has a long commute home in the hurricane.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, all 3 blocks. Yeah.
They're 6-2, and I'm still
Yeah.
not certain they're for real. But I will tell you this: next 2 games at home against the Lions and the Texans, likely going to be 8-2. It's hard to call an 8-2 team not very good or not real. You know.
But will he survive the God bless football curse? Because he went
Oh,
on.
Dabes.
Dabes went on during the bye week.
It's our boy.
I will.
Yeah.
I will say he was not terribly overconfident, which has been a defining characteristic of the God bless football curse, which is mid-major or major college coaches that are big believers in what they're doing. They puff out their chests, and then UCLA gets hammered. But Dabes, was very sort of self-deprecating. He was having a good time. So, do you think he will survive the God bless football curse against the Lions this weekend?
I do, because it's the Lions, right? Like he's
The
playing
Lions just got off beating the Packers, though.
at home though. And everyone's beating the
Yeah,
Packers.
it's the
the Jets and
Packers.
Giants beat the Packers. I mean, the Giants beat the Packers too. So
I think we need to break the God bless football curse. I don't believe it. Because another coach was on it this week that I really hope wins their game this weekend.
that's coming on this week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the curse needs to be lifted.
I don't
think-
believe in the curse.
Why don't you? Why?
Because we've had coaches that haven't. Like Frank Reich, one of the times he was on, he didn't lose.
But then he
won.
got fired the same season.
Yeah, unrelated.
That's worse.
We had the Marshall coach on just to rub it in Smetty's face, and then he lost the next week, I
Yeah.
believe.
They're
Yeah.
doing okay now,
Yeah.
though. They've got a good defense.
Ryan
Marshall.
Day's been undefeated
Yep.
this year. Right?
Ryan
He
Day was on the first episode. They haven't
Yeah,
lost a
that's
game.
true.
How about that? There
They
is
did
no
lose
curse.
the first half to Northwestern.
No curse.
You're right.
Well, they tied it. It was windy, though.
It's like a loss, really,
Yeah.
when you consider.
Stugotz, I heard you didn't like Indiana.
Well, I didn't. I mean, what's the like?
I told you guys weeks ago, watch out for Indiana. No one believed me.
Well, what do you mean? Watch out for
I
Indiana.
mean, just watch out for Indiana.
Do you like Indiana?
I like Notre Dame.
Well, what I like about Notre Dame is I don't feel like I'm in Indiana.
Oudiana.
Hey. Are they for real?
Chris, have you
Indiana, Audiana.
No,
have you
we got
given
that.
one Hakeem Nicks laugh today?
I'm just decided I'm against it. I'm not. I'm
Against
going to be
what?
stuck in.
What?
Well,
you
no.
can provide the best joke, and I'm stubborn today. Maybe tomorrow I'll be more lenient with the loser game show sound. But after I don't know what that accent was. But after you encouraged me earlier today to have it ready for you, I'm out.
He doesn't like people who call their own shot. So when you ask for the Hakeem Nicks laugh before you actually deliver the joke, you're not going to get it, Smitty. Just so you know. And he doesn't like jokes about the Canes.
Perhaps a full show suspension as well.
Wow.
What?
Suspend me, please.
A full show suspension.
What did I do?
I'm saying of the Knicks laugh, not from the show.
Oh, okay.
Damn it.
By the way, seem impartial here. You've just
No, he's
decided that
not.
you're not going to give anyone that. Have you ever given Jess a laugh?
Never.
Of course I have.
He doesn't think women can be funny.
Yeah, what's the difference between Jess and everyone else in this room?
We're like Chris Assingham.
Wow.
I like that.
Unbelievable.
Am I going to get it? Yeah!